Okay, we got the new Hiby R6. We also got music playing on the right side, so a little binaural check right there. Hopefully it doesn't bother you because it should only be on your right side. This is a DAP that's been in my possession for a couple weeks. I've been using it for a couple weeks anyway. I've come to conclusions. I'll go very quick for the OCD people out there and the ADHD. And get them both. I got them. This is very, very good for wireless. Its sound quality is good anyway, but it's particularly very good in its range for Bluetooth. I do a regular check where I put it on a picnic table at a beach that I go to. I think I got a picture of that. Context. Grind. Oh, not right here. On this beach and to the right is, oh no, that's not. Let me get out of there. Boom, boom, boom. Okay. I put it on a picnic table and then I turn back to device and then walk away because it's just a long, wide open thing. That's just getting straight out range. I should start to measure that. Just when I started really doing a lot of stuff with the DAPs, I got out of the game, and I'll explain that. All of the ones that I've done, none of has reached as far as this does, and God, that was... I'd have to measure it out. It was a long distance, and it was notably longer than anything that I've used before. I also could put this in the entrance, which is called in Japan a genkan. And mine is unique because it's got a very thick concrete wall on two sides. And when I'm training on the outside, and I'm not putting this outside or any DAP because I'm not doing that, put this on top of a little counter and then walk outside, I would have to move this DAP or other DAPs a little closer to the door and get that kind of maybe wraparound catch while I'm training, and also moving my head very quickly because I'm training on a heavy bag or like an MMA with uppercut pads on it. And it was never really doable. So I would just like use an iPod and put it outside because I wouldn't care if this got a little bit roughed up. And then I would use this. But for DAPs, this is the first one that I could play safely inside, go out and train, listen to the music, and have absolutely no issues. So point number one in this thing's favor is its range is quite good. It's very good. Its tonality as a player is, I would say, most similar to a Sony WM1A. Which is a compliment, which means that it's not quite warm. If you're not familiar with my channel beyond perhaps the last year, you might not know that I really got into DAPs for quite a while and was actually quite good at it. Good in the sense that I attracted a lot of views. The Hiby R6, look at that beauty right there. That's the R6, the one that came out that had the high impedance issue. Fucking stunningly gorgeous. That's got 40,000 views on it. Let's go up to Zeos. He's got 10 times my subs. But that doesn't really equal to views, and people know that. 24,000 for the Pro. This is the R6. That's Curry. He's got 39. Tech Gum's got 24. Portify's got 5.6. Good luck to him. And the Pro, 32. So I actually got more than Z, but that's because my audience was more towards portable gear and his is towards like everything. He does amps and DACs and speakers and all of that, so that's not really an indicator. But I wasn't putting up DAPs and like, I'm not getting hits, so I think I'll do something else. I actually went the other way and started to buy the expensive ones like the AKs and the KN flagships and the low 2-paw gold touches, etc., and became a little disenchanted with the returns. Like when you buy earphones that cost $3,000-4,000 and you think, whoa, what did I do? I was getting that feeling when I was listening to DAPs. So that's why I took a pause on that, because I actually did raffles with my Patreons, and somebody paid $100 and won this one right here. Somebody paid, I don't know if the KN was done. Low 2-paw gold touch, I believe, was done. But they paid in a way that it was plus minus equals zero. So some people didn't get anything, but somebody actually did get that AK for $100, and somebody else got low 2-paw gold touch for $100. Think about that for a second. Holy fuck. So that was as I was getting out. Now I'm kind of getting back in. I'm wondering about, I just saw an announcement by FiO talking about how the mid-range DAPs are something that's really not producing, that the interest, like the high-end stuff is getting attraction, and then the affordable stuff in the mid-range. And I think it's an industry-wide thing because people are using phones now a lot because the quality, some of them have good DACs in them, actually, and they have little amp chips in dual, so you got left-right stereo amplified nicely. My Sony X1 II actually sounds quite good on a lot of stuff, so it's a tough world to be in, but this is about, I think, $800. So if I go to Hiby's page, they're talking about their history. I believe it's about $800, and it's got fantastic Bluetooth range, and its tonality is similar to the WM1A, which, if you're thinking, have you heard that one? I owned it. No longer own it. I still do own the WM1Z, though. I got rid of one and I kept the other because it's just a classic. So I've got experience. I love the KN N62. I like the KN dual amplification style, like a tube and a solid state. That became very appealing because it's two totally different things going on with one device. So I really like the N62, and I really like N8 not as much because I thought this was giving me pretty much what that does. And then the N3 Pro is an excellent DAP. However, that Bluetooth range is not comparable to this, and I can't use that in the way that I can use this. Though, to be perfectly clear, I wouldn't really be using this too much to do that. I was just testing it out. So I'm not going to be dragging this around while I'm training when I can do that with a freaking iPod connected to the Beats. So, but it can do it, and they do claim that it's got good range, and I can say that it does, and it's got a tonality that won't really require. There's some DAPs that people say, you know, you better watch out for something that's too warm, because this, for example, the Calyx M, interesting because it's got an ESS, which they used to call Saber Glare. That is one of the warmest, most organic DAPs I've ever heard in my life. But if people were just like looking at the specs, they'd say, oh, that might be kind of bright. Oh, no, 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 no. The warmest of them all, with still keeping the details. It's fucking a legend. So I spend in every video I've done since I made this desk. So the combination of low-pass filters and the amplification and the chip and how that is combined creates the sonic replay, in addition to the transducers that you use. And I know that I'm speaking the obvious to some people, but some people don't understand otherwise. This is not, if this was something somebody said they were going to get, I would tell them that if they listen to stuff that's like warm, let's say a 64 Neo, a Thea Audio L5, a Sony N3A, it might be a little too much to take warm tilted transducer earphones and combine it with a DAP that leans into the warm air. That's like double, and it might not. You might feel a loss of resolution. And then there's other ones that are a little bit too bright and sound. The Opus number 3 was one that was way too much. The DX200 I thought was too clinical, but that's what some people like. This falls right in the perfect zone where the WM1A is, and that is if you have a set that has very stable bass and mids, and it's got some peaks in the treble, you're going to hear all of that because this is not really influencing it at all. You can select filters and you can change the way that it's playing. Very, very subtle, very, very little, and some people hearing is not good enough to pick that up. But if you have very good hearing, filter settings adjusted on this can give it a sense of being maybe a tad bit warmer, and vice versa. But in its stock configuration, without using MSEB, the DSP program that they have within it, it sounds like something very much like a Sony WM1A. Which one would I take? I haven't had this in my possession long enough, and I had the M1A 3 times and once for a very long time and never had issues with it. It's not Android based, and it's lasts forever. I could go buy another one right now. I wouldn't care, like if it was one of the first ones ever made or if it was one of the recent ones. I could update to the latest firmware and be fine. This is using Android 9, which is new, but can you remember somebody talking about Android 6 not long ago, saying it's Android 6, it's new? So like new is now, and then later when Android 12 is out, this will be a relic, kind of, in that sense. So Android it kind of dates itself. I don't know how they would get around that. That's the way it was before. So saying that this is Android 9, you can do everything with it. Until the apps that you like to put on it are no longer supporting 9 because they've moved up to the next 10 or 11 or 12 or whatever, unless Android is no longer going to be releasing biannually or annually. You can let me know in the comment section. Would I recommend this? I'm not talking about, let me talk about, this is 150 ohm impedance, and listening to this, let me put this on my head. This is single-ended. Oh, Jesus, just about 88 for 150, the Belon 30s. Shoot, shoot, shoot that thing at me. Don't shoot, shoot, shoot that thing at me. No, you got my sympathy, but don't shoot, shoot, shoot that thing at me. It sounds very good. The interface is great. They're using their own operating system, so it's the fully formed version of it. It's got separate amplification setups. So the line outside is amplified separately from the like straight line. If you're listening to 4.4, you're listening just straight headphones out and you're not using line out. What's the purpose of that? Let's go ahead and take a look at this real quick. So the R series design language, this is the R8 is their flagship, and they're porting down the design to the newer models, I guess is what they're doing. The 1080p high-res display, it is a high-res display. It looks very, very nice. Gorilla Glass, more compact, less weight. iPhone 12, I don't know why that's in there. 235, it is definitely lighter than the original, the Pro or the first one. Those were beast. You could beat the crap and kill people with those. Snapdragon, it's quite fast. Dual ES9038 Q2M, all new power supply circuit design. This is one of the main points right here. Independent isolated power supplies, a line stage and amplification stage of your typical, like you're going to plug in your 3.5 or your 4.4. Those two are separated, and that is to increase dynamics and cleaner for like a blacker background. If you ever listen to the M11 and you ever listen to the M11 Pro and you thought the M11 Pro with the THX had a more black dead background and was allowing you to really focus on the musicality or whatever it is that you were listening to, this is kind of what would do the same thing. By improving the quality of the amplification stage, you're lowering the noise and you're increasing the potential dynamics, the ability of your transducers to do the best job they can, because they're getting really good, clean energy. So it's a really good idea. Auto circuit design. Can't speak to the APA chips enough to make any comment on that. This is the 4.4 line out, 3.5 line out, and then you've got your regular phone output, balanced output. Most people would be using this, but you can also use that. We've got specs down here. Sometimes people say, why don't you talk about the specs? And it's also got MSEB. This is, I used to talk to Joe Blogs when this was first coming out, before the actual first one came out on Kickstarter. And he really, I think, put this together and wanted to put it on, and there was debate whether or not to use it or not. And it was called something else before. I can't remember what it was called. And I think it was called Magic 8 Ball, and it says it down there. The Mage Sound 8 Ball. It was called Magic 8 Ball originally, I recall. And I thought it was a fantastic idea. The dryness, the wetness, the very, very brilliant, coming from a guy who was on, God, what was the name of that site? Viper for Android users would go there all the time. I can't remember the name, but I was a visitor there for trying to root my Android phones, and Joe Blogs was on there helping people get that done. So he had a lot to do with what you're looking at and when you're adjusting it. So you have all kinds of options with this that is only surpassed. This is on another level from the Cayennes. The Cayennes, you got a graphic equalizer pretty much, and there you go. If I recall correctly, the iBasso DX160 has a PEQ, though it makes it quite hot and it drains the battery faster. And the Lotu Paw Gold Touch, or the Lotu 5000 MK2, has a dedicated bluefin chip that is a brilliant PEQ. That's surgical. I love that. I didn't like the touch version. I don't think you need to spend that much money. So this has a different way of going about modifying the sound, and it's kind of brilliant. So if you've got a Hiby, you know it, and you probably, if you play with it, you might fall in love with it, or just totally. Can you make profiles on this? I'm not really sure yet. I guess I would have to check, because I didn't. No thickness positioning said, I suppose you could. this is where I have the weak point for you guys. About MQA, I can't speak to that. But if Hiby says that it'll do 16 times unfold new MQA, people debate that. I'm not really into it, so again, I can't speak to that. Other people will. High res blue coat, I can speak to this. Effortless, I can speak to that. New external antenna, form the whole top bulge. You can enter your favorite songs in here. This is where this really steps out as being a consideration. I don't know if the previous models do the same thing, or because maybe the R8 has the same design, but this is exceptional when it comes to its range. Very, very, very good. It's probably one of the better points. And it's just not supposed to be too warm or too analytical. It's supposed to fall right kind of in the middle. And the WM1A by Sony is that to me, and this does that for me. So I would say that it was DAP that I would rec because it doesn't have any clear failings. It's got a brilliant powering design. Its screen quality is very good. It's got 4 megabytes of RAM, I believe. Everything moves very quickly. There's no stuttering. There was no like wait for it, what's going on, like I've had with some Kayans, like I've had with some iBasos in particular. I like iBaso as a company, and I like Paul, I think is his name, but the firmwares always seem to need 2 or 3 or 4 upgrades before it seems really, really usable. This is right out of the box, and it's good to go, and I've had no issues myself. So the new Hiby R6, it pushes 150 ohm headphones very easily out of single end, easily 80%. So I guess you would want more headroom than that, but you would have it because you could go to balance and get a whole lot more power, which would be exactly what. Does it say it? Let's take a look real quick at what I was just using and what that was giving me. Okay, I was using 3.5 upper power, 245 milliwatts. Okay, and if I were to switch that over to 4.4 balanced, I would be getting 750, so 2 point something times the output power, which would mean that I would need to put this up to maybe 40 to push 150 ohm headphones without sweating. So it seems to have enough power. I don't know if it's the most, there's other beastly sets out there that are more powerful, but this will do it. This is enough for me, and if I'm going to be using more power hungry cans, I think I'm probably going to be using something else like my ADI or some other stuff. So this, I'll do a walkthrough for this. I think it's great. If you can get it to come with the cover, that would be nice, because I think it really needs it. It's a fingerprint magnet like most stuff. So again, sound quality trends towards slightly kind of smooth neutral, a la the Sony WM1A. Bluetooth range is exceptional. Configuration as far as manipulating the sound via the filter adjustments or the Magic 8 Ball, I'll call it that because that's what it was called originally. You can tweak to your heart's content. It's Android 9.0. You can put any of the apps that you're comfortable with using and like to use on this device. That will be maybe different in a couple of years, but by that time they will have released maybe 5 more DAPs, so you wouldn't be stuck with having to use this if you didn't want to. That's it for now. Again, I was doing this for a while before, and I guess I'll probably get back into it if it's wanted. If this is not a popular video and people have moved on and said just stick with earphones, I'll go that way too. This is pretty much going to be driven. This is the Yinlu Mei M400 Plus, and it sounds absolutely fantastic. On sound preference, this stacked on top of this sounds more appealing to me than this, because this is adding something to it. It's not quite neutral. It's got a heavier, the notes sound heavier on it. I like it a lot. I'm going to be doing a review for it. I got some other amp DACs that are coming up, because I guess I lean that way more than I do towards these devices recently. I love the KN N3 Pro because it's giving me solid state and tube for a very affordable price. It's got a simpler folder structure, simpler OS pretty much because of its specs, but it's good enough for me. Again, I got a Calyx M, which was made 2011. That's about to be 10 years old. So I'm okay with the older stuff. as long as it does what I want it to do. But this is the newest stuff, and it actually does a good job. So I'll let you guys go. That's it for now. I'll throw this up on the thing and edit it up a little bit. And if you want me to do a walkthrough, I will. I think I'm going to do it anyway. And I'm out.